When we watched Justice League hit the screen in 2017, the explosive action, iconic characters, and larger-than-life visuals seemed effortless. But behind all the superhero spectacle lies a world of intense planning, green screens, motion capture, and technical wizardry. Let's dive deep into how these jaw-dropping scenes were actually made, starting with a heart-pounding tunnel battle. Our behind-the-scenes journey begins with the epic underground tunnel battle sequence where Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg confront Steppenwolf and his terrifying parademons. Before cameras rolled, the filmmakers built a massive tunnel set inside a green screen-laden studio. This wasn't just a backdrop, it was a full-fledged environment custom designed to match the gritty, high-stakes energy of the scene. Massive props, lighting setups, and digital markers filled the space, providing physical points of reference for the actors. In the middle of all that chaos, a crew member and an action coordinator can be seen directing the cast, giving them moment-by-moment instructions on how to perform each complex action beat. For example, remember the scene where Batman uses his grapple gun to swing across a crumbling bridge? In reality, actor Ben Affleck was strapped into a high-tension harness. Suspended in midair, he performed the motion with intense focus while green screen surrounded him, later replaced with tunnel background and collapsing structures. As the tunnel fight escalates, so does the complexity of the filmmaking. Several sequences required Batman's stunt double to step in. Take the high jumping sequence for example. To ensure safety, the crew laid down foam pads beneath the green screen, allowing the stunt team to execute flips and landings with precision. Meanwhile, the terrifying parademons weren't real. Instead, the actors in full-body motion capture suits performed their moves, reacting to the heroes and mimicking the aggression of these alien creatures. In post-production, these performances were transformed into CG monsters, textured and rendered to match Zack Snyder's dark, mythic tone. Even Steppenwolf himself didn't exist on set. His performance was captured digitally. As you can see on the screen, his character was modeled and textured by the CGI team before being unleashed on screen. Flash's scenes were perhaps the most technically demanding. One standout moment? When Wonder Woman drops her sword mid-battle and the Flash runs up the tunnel wall and passes it to her gently with his finger. This visually dazzling sequence was first planned through pre-visualization. It's a digital blueprint that maps every movement before filming begins. Once everything was ready, actor Ezra Miller received specific instructions from the director for the running shots. For this scene, Ezra was harnessed in wires surrounded by green screens. Instead of actual speed, he mimicked his running and last falling on ladder shots. As he performed exaggerated running motions in place, the VFX team later built a world around him, including the crumbling tunnel walls and the dramatic slow motion of the sword tumbling through the air. Next, we move to the airport hangar scene where Diana, Batman, and Barry Allen have a little conversation. On screen, this location looks expensive, filled with planes, hangars, and lighting, but in reality, it was shot inside a studio using a minimal physical set. The actors performed with nothing but green curtains around them, relying on their imagination and the director's guidance at the same time. Everything you see in the final shot, like the aircraft, the distant skyline, the glowing lights, and even Batman's iconic signal in the sky, these all were added digitally in post-production. It's a brilliant example of how minimal on-set elements can transform into cinematic magic. This emotional scene from Zack Snyder's Justice League shows Bruce Wayne, Alfred, and Diana discussing the idea of turning the abandoned Wayne Manor into a new headquarters for the Justice League. Though it appears to be a regal abandoned hall steeped in history, the entire location was created digitally and filmed in front of green screens with only partial set pieces. The environment, including walls, windows, lighting, and even dust particles, it was all entirely computer generated to give the scene a haunting, visionary atmosphere. In a blink and you miss it moment, we see how Cyborg's dark, moody visuals are achieved. During one particular shoot, the actor wears green bands on his hands and legs. These act as digital placeholders, later replaced by robotic enhancements and glowing tech in post-production. This moment highlights how even the smallest visual effects details require meticulous planning and digital artistry. Finally, we arrive at the creation of the Nightcrawler, Batman's armored vehicle used during the tunnel battle. The vehicle, while looking fully functional on screen, was actually brought to life using a combination of practical models and CGI. This sequence was shot within the studio where parts of the real vehicle were built for external shots. For close-up scenes inside the cockpit, the front section was recreated. Ben Affleck sat inside as the crew filmed tight dramatic angles to show Batman piloting this beast of a machine. Also, visual effects artists took over, animating the crawler's movements, deploying weapons, and integrating it seamlessly into the explosive environment. Right after, we see a quick BTS of Aquaman holding back a powerful stream of water in the tunnel. This dramatic sequence was filmed using a flat surface beneath him. Jason Momoa was wired and pulled backward while strong winds blew from the front to simulate water pressure, his hair and clothes reacting as though nature itself was being challenged. This behind-the-scenes moment brings us to the rugged, wave-crashing world of Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman. The first part of this BTS shows the quiet tension between Batman and Aquaman shot in a real coastal village. Bruce Wayne tries to recruit Arthur for the Justice League, but the Ocean King coldly refuses. On set, you can see Jason Momoa walking through the scenic seaside location while director Zack Snyder gives him detailed instructions. There's a calm, grounded energy as Momoa delivers his lines with that signature Aquaman grit. But the tone shifts completely in the second sequence. Aquaman strikes away after rescuing a sailor from a deadly storm. He's soaked, intense, and chugging a bottle of beer as waves crash dramatically around him. What looks like a wild ocean spectacle on screen was actually crafted using an impressive setup of machines positioned just out of frame. These machines hurled water into the air, creating towering geysers and splashes that mimicked nature's fury. Jason Momoa walks through this chaotic environment with absolute conviction, and the camera captures it all through dynamic angles and expertly placed lighting. The performance, the real water effects, and the practical setup made this scene as raw and visceral as the ocean itself. Next, we jump into one of the film's earliest large-scale action sequences, Steppenwolf's invasion of Themyscira to steal the Mother Box. Though it looks like an ancient temple and open-air battlefield, this entire fight was filmed inside a massive studio using green screens and a medium-sized physical set. Actors portraying the Amazons were guided carefully through their choreography, executing sword swings, hammer slams, and arrow shots with stunning precision. To simulate parademons, stunt performers in full-body motion capture suits moved with ferocity, reacting to hits, flips, and fantasy combat. Choreographers stood just off camera, demonstrating how to use the bow, wield oversized weapons, and sell the weight of each action beat. One memorable moment is when Queen Hippolyta retrieves the Mother Box and charges out of the temple. As two Amazon warriors slam shut the heavy stone doors behind her, you'd expect giant stone props, but in reality, it was a cleverly designed foam pad that two actresses gripped and closed with force. The final effect? Seamless and epic. Another incredible shot shows the Amazons fleeing on horseback. Yes, those are in fact real horses galloping inside a green screen studio. The set's floor was covered for safety, and the dramatic landscapes of Themyscira were digitally painted later. Every step of the action was storyboarded beforehand to ensure perfect alignment of shots and visual effects. And now, we reach the heart of the film, Superman's resurrection, a moment both powerful and terrifying. Bruce Wayne and his team use the Mother Box to bring Clark Kent back to life. But something's wrong. Superman doesn't remember who he is. What follows is an unforgettable battle at Heroes Park, where the newly reborn Man of Steel takes on the entire Justice League. Though the fight feels grand and grounded, it was actually shot in a controlled studio environment. Only a few physical props and set pieces were used, like car, stones, floor, but mostly scenery from the surrounding buildings to the burning landscape was added later through post-production. Storyboards and pre-visualization helped map out each shot to the tiniest detail. Behind the camera, director Zack Snyder meticulously instructs his actors. Every movement, punch, and glance is crafted with purpose. Cyborg played via full motion capture wears a suit with digitally tracking markers. Aquaman's high-flying attacks were filmed with Momoa suspended on a circle rig, giving him full range to leap through the air. One of the most technically impressive segments was the fight between Flash and Superman. To achieve Flash's lightning-fast movements, Ezra Miller stood inside a circular rig like a human-sized hamster wheel. Crew members, dressed entirely in green, spun the rig, while Ezra performed slow-motion running motions, which were later sped up in post-production. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill moved deliberately slow during his punch scenes to sync perfectly with the high-speed visual effects. Their timing had to be impeccable to make it look like Superman could track the Flash with his eyes, a jaw-dropping moment that became an instant fan favorite. Even Flash's dramatic running scenes were filmed with harnesses and wire rigs, giving him the lift and suspension needed to make those gravity-defying moves feel real. And that's how this iconic scene from the movie was filmed. Each of these scenes showcases how Justice League was more than just superheroes and visual effects. It was a colossal collaboration of creative minds, stunt performers, technical crews, and visionary direction. Each frame was carefully designed to immerse us in the DC universe, and thanks to these behind-the-scenes insights, we get to appreciate the artistry behind the action even more. By the way, what was your favorite behind-the-scenes moment from this movie? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive content on your favorite movies and series. See you in the next video, and bye-bye for now.